If you spent any time online lately, you've probably seen this term flying around AI slop, right? It's become this go-to label for a ton of content. But what does it really mean? Well, today we're going to unpack this buzzword and get right to the heart of the debate. Okay, so let's dive right in. In the beginning, the term AI slop was actually a pretty specific label. It was meant to describe the kind of content we all know and, let's be honest, hate. You know, the clickbait articles, the super shallow listicles, those generic images that are just churned out by the thousand. All of it designed to game search engines and get clicks, not to actually inform or inspire anyone. But this is where things start to get a little complicated, because what's happening is the definition seems to be stretching. More and more, you see it being used to describe almost anything created with the help of AI, even if it's accurate, well-edited, and thoughtfully put together. So the real question is this still a useful label, or has it just become something else entirely? All right, so that brings us to our first big question. How did we get from a helpful term for calling out low-quality junk to what some people see as just a lazy way to dismiss new technology altogether? You know, to really get a handle on how words can kind of lose their punch, let's look at an example. In South Africa, the term tenderpreneur was created to describe a very specific thing, someone using political connections to get government contracts. Super specific meaning. But over time, it got stretched, and now it's sometimes used as a general insult for any wealthy business person. And that's the danger, right? When a label is stretched that far, it loses its precision. If everything is slop, well, then the word itself doesn't really mean anything anymore. And this leads us to one of the most fascinating parts of this whole debate. The accusation that calling everything slop isn't really about quality control at all. It's about gatekeeping. You know, this kind of pushback against new tools, it is not new at all. I mean, we've seen this movie before, right? Think about it. Professional photographers were so skeptical of digital cameras. Academics, they hated Wikipedia. Print journalists totally looked down on online news. Every single time a new technology comes along and lowers the barrier to entry, and every single time the established players get, well, they get a little uncomfortable. And that's really the heart of it. These AI tools are dramatically lowering the barrier to entry for really complex skills. We're talking writing, coding, design, skills that have for a long time been concentrated in specific places, like universities or wealthy city centers. This has the potential to empower a whole lot of people who were previously on the outside looking in. And this brings up a really challenging question we have to ask ourselves. When we're so quick to label something as slop, is our criticism genuinely about the quality of the work? Or is it really about protecting our own status because we're maybe a little uncomfortable with who now gets to play in the sandbox? Now, let's be perfectly clear here. This isn't to say that all AI-generated content is great. Far from it. Genuine AI slop is a very real and, let's be honest, a very frustrating problem. And we can spot it. We know what it looks like. True slop is the content that is factually unchecked, totally repetitive, and unoriginal. It's the stuff that's produced at an industrial scale with no human oversight, designed only to manipulate algorithms, not to communicate with people. That is the stuff that deserves the label. So the crucial distinction we have to make is this. The problem isn't the AI tool itself. I mean, a journalist using AI to help summarize documents is doing something fundamentally different from a bot farm just scraping Reddit to create nonsense articles. The real issue here is the absence of human intent, responsibility, and accountability. And this brings us to the real danger of overusing this term. Because when a powerful word is misapplied all over the place, it doesn't just lose its meaning, it can cause some real harm. Think about it like this. When you call a thoughtful, well-crafted, AI-assisted essay slop, it's kind of like calling any political opinion you disagree with fake news. It's not a critique, it's a conversation ender. It just completely shuts down any chance for a real, nuanced discussion. And this has a chilling effect. It discourages people from experimenting with new tools, it stops us from having honest conversations about what's working and what isn't, and it can particularly harm smaller creators or underfunded newsrooms who could genuinely benefit from AI assistance to help level the playing field. So if AI slop is becoming this flawed and counterproductive label, what's a better way forward? I mean, how should we be evaluating this massive wave of new content that we're all seeing? Well, here's a much more sophisticated framework. Instead of just a simple AI or not test, we should ask way better questions. First, is the content itself high quality and original? Second, can its claims be verified? Third, what was the creator's intent? Was it to inform you or to deceive you? And finally, who is accountable for this output? See, these questions focus on what actually matters. Ultimately, it really all comes down to this. We need to focus on the outcome, the accuracy, the insight, the value of the final piece, rather than getting so hung up on the process. A great article is a great article, regardless of the tools that were used to help write it. So I'll leave you with this final thought. Is using the term AI slop actually helping us demand better quality content? Or has it just become an easy way for us to feel morally superior while conveniently avoiding the much more complex and important conversation about what quality, responsibility, and creativity actually look like in this new era?